There's two things you have to do when you make that decision. One is you have to make it based on your gut and fully trust your gut and go headstrong that you made that decision.
Yeah.
And two, make peace with the fact that it could be the wrong decision. Welcome to the Checkup Podcast. Today, we have such a hard-hitting and important conversation with guests Sam and Colby. They're known for their incredibly popular videos on YouTube exploring paranormal activity. And today we're gonna touch on some of that, but we're also gonna touch on the earth-shattering testicular cancer diagnosis that Colby received only a few short months ago. From how he received the news, the emotional impact of it, the medical journey, and in fact, we will brainstorm on this very podcast what exactly should he do moving forward. Very educational conversation. Hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Let's get started with the Checkup Podcast. I have to ask first question. Is this place haunted?
We walked in here and I just felt something was off.
Really? There's an energy.
I think we have to start an investigation now.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I think, you know what?
Well, I think the investigation that has to happen is to why they lie about floors in this building.
100%.
Because if there's 10 floors missing in a building, maybe that's an area where ghosts hang out.
You know what? You're onto something here. I think so.
What's on those mystery floors? We got to go figure it out.
Little did we know, there are no mystery floors. They just lie about the floors.
They're just liars. God.
Savages. For those listening, what we're actually talking about is that my building, they have 10 floors missing in one section, then another 10 floors missing. And I always thought they were reserved for something. But in reality, if you go in between those 10 floors, there's nothing there. It just skips 10 floors. So
New York is lying to you.
New York is all about the branding.
Makes
no
sense.
Ghosts, just lies.
But speaking of ghosts, I'm an evidence-based physician, meaning that every time I make a recommendation, as you'll see when we start talking about all the medical stuff you guys have going on, I base it off of evidence that we studied.
Right.
What is the evidence that paranormal activity exists?
Well, see, that's the thing is there's no concrete evidence. And that's why there's people that are like ghost hunters like us trying to figure it out. Stuff. We have like our own equipment that will go off with electromagnetic energy. And we use that and just honestly, like based on what we hear and see while we're at these places, there's no like concrete evidence that anybody has or else everybody would know about it.
Fair. What's the best evidence you've seen that paranormal activity exists?
Oh my gosh. We have literally experienced pretty much everything. Like we've even gotten pushed, touched. We've heard voices in our ears. We've seen doors slam
behind
on
us.
Each other.
Yeah, no, we definitely have
slam?
evidence.
Yeah.
And this isn't like someone playing a joke or a prank. This is full on real.
I'm in a haunted mansion in Texas, and I asked the question: slam a door if you're here, if you're behind me, and not literally.
It's
only
not
like
your
10
producer.
seconds.
It's not the camera person.
Promise. It's only us. We only yeah, it's only us two as like the crew.
Yeah,
Wow.
we try to go in every single place completely alone so that there's no element of other people involved and no one else can say that, hey, that it could be a producer, that could be another cameraman or something.
It was perfect timing too. It was like the door was wide open the entire time I was asking questions. I asked that one specifically. Slams right behind me.
How do you recover from that though? Because like all I would be thinking about is, what is that? Is it coming for me? How can I sleep at night?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's something that we like to call the paranormal hangover, where it takes like 2 or 3 days afterwards to kind of get back to normal. And we have to watch like a bunch of happy YouTube videos to get back in a good mood.
Really?
It gets bad, but
What's the happy YouTube videos you guys watch?
God, oh man, for me, you know, I always love watching PewDiePie.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's my
You don't
happy
watch
guy.
the little cat videos?
Sometimes the cat videos pop up, but we don't need to talk about that. All right?
No, but truly, like it's scary, especially when we first started this. We've been doing this for 4 or 5 years now, and so it gets a little easier over time, just like a scary roller coaster. But the first couple of times we did this, it was so shocking that we'd just have long conversations for hours and be like, what do we actually experience? This is like questioning our religion, questioning what we're going to be talking to like our kids about one day. Like this is scary stuff, and it genuinely affects us.
Did you go into this believing in it?
No,
We're very skeptical. Yeah.
Really?
We
Very,
did,
very
we did
skeptical.
it because we didn't believe. We're like, all right, like we can go into these haunted places and not be scared because like, yeah, it's not real. And then stuff was happening, and then more stuff was happening, and then we were like, we can't keep chalking this up to coincidence. This is insane.
That's so How do you know when to film certain things or when to break out certain pieces of equipment? Or is that just fortunate timing?
That is a lot of fortunate timing, and also a lot of the editing style. We just film like as much as we possibly can. We try to keep cameras on whenever we go into new rooms, and we try to keep even like cameras in other rooms while we're not there, just to try to capture as much as possible. But yeah, there are definitely times that you hear something in person that you don't get on camera, and then you're kicking yourself.
There's also like a million different things you can do to like ask out if there's ghosts, and or like, for example, there's just like 20 different pieces of ghost equipment that you can get online. And a lot of the stuff Sam and I haven't even tried out yet. So a lot of the episodes we're just trying new things. And again, we're trying to figure it out ourselves. Yes, we have evidence. Yes, we believe, but like we haven't seen somebody levitate in front of our eyes or something like that. There's not like any concrete 100% evidence.
Yeah. So speaking to that, if you're so evidence-based, I'm assuming you don't believe in ghosts.
I would introduce myself as agnostic.
Okay.
Meaning like I don't think I'm smart enough to know if there are ghosts because I don't have the evidence to prove that they exist or they don't exist. So I'm skeptically agnostic.
And would that be the same in terms of religion too? More agnostic? Yeah.
Totally. Because I try and live in the practical world as much as possible because it allows me to be my best self for my patients. And even when making YouTube content in order to figure out what's the best way to explain something to somebody or get them excited about their health.
Yeah.
So if I start venturing into that space, I can really cause a lot of problems for people.
That makes sense, yeah.
About, and I'm sure you guys have seen this, like on social media. Oh, if you prick your finger here, your sore throat will go away. Or if you have this condition, if you just take my miracle potion for $7.99.
Yeah, everyone's trying to sell something on you.
It makes
for
sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that? Actually, I'm curious in your world online because everyone has different For You pages.
Maybe not in the paranormal like world, but I've seen a bunch of people being like, oh, you know, you don't need to go to a doctor. You can just do this or, you know, drink from this beautiful lake or something. It'll be fine.
Exactly.
So
it's incredible how dangerous and problematic that is. And most people think it's dangerous because it's taking away people's money and it's being unfair and it's rude. All of that is true. But there's actual legitimate danger to having people not get themselves diagnosed and have things get worse.
For sure, yeah.
Where they actually did a study in 2017 to see if individuals who were going down the alternative medicine pathway as opposed to conventional cancer treatment for their cancers, which people died at a higher rate. Those people who went alternative medicine instead of conventional died at a higher rate, had a higher risk of dying.
Interesting. I mean, it makes sense, of course. Like,
well, it does, but not if you're listening to their magical advice because they're saying this will make you live forever.
Well, it just comes down to why are people believing the alternative stuff? And
why do you think people believe it?
I mean, people are getting fantastic at marketing.
That's true.
And it's like social media is so prevalent, and sometimes people like in the medical field are not as prevalent as some of these other master
or like
marketers.
other doctors don't really care about their credibility, and if there's money involved in a brand deal to promote something that's not legitimate, they'll still do it, and that will influence a lot of people.
Those are absolutely two valid reasons. I have a different theory than both of you.
Okay.
I think it's because our healthcare system sucks so much that it's turned people off of regular medicine. And instead of going to see a doctor where they're staring at a computer screen, they're burnt out, you have only 10 minutes with them, they push you a pill, you'd rather go see the caring, compassionate, kind person who's alternative for an hour and buy into their natural approach.
Right.
I agree.
That makes sense.
We've come to that conclusion.
Yeah, we have a lot to say about that.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you have to say about that?
Well, I mean, it's just been very, very hard to contact my doctor. I have multiple doctors I've been talking to, including an oncologist, and it takes 2 or 3 days minimum to contact them via the patient portal online.
Sure.
I understand doctors are busy and everything, but even calling them, you have to wait for your doctor to call you.
Yeah.
It's not like, well, for me at least, I was having to wait with like a 45-minute like voice answering machine before I was even able to connect to the front office to maybe talk to my doctor. Like it was just a lot harder for patients to get the answers they're looking for, especially with like a serious condition.
Yeah.
I would say like looking at the process that's been happening over the past couple of months, like more than half the anxiety is caused by not being able to have any sort of communication with anybody in healthcare. It's like, I'm so frustrated for you. So I can't even imagine the thought process going through everything, just trying to get through healthcare.
And again, I'm not like, I know doctors are busy in general. And so I'm sure they have like a million patients each, and it's hard to like keep track of and stuff. It's just voicing our frustration of how long it takes to get information back when it's life or death, like you're talking about.
Or
Absolutely.
scheduling too. Like,
Yeah, scheduling.
like months and months of like, wait, what? This is going to take how long?
Yeah, and not like going too far ahead of the story here. But like, for example, we had to expedite my surgery. Like we were able to do that ourselves. I had somebody on our team just call around to like the Mayo Clinic and UCLA, and they were able to schedule my orchiectomy way faster. Like I think 3 days faster than the intended like surgery.
Yeah.
Like, interesting.
So it sounds like you agree with my theory
Yeah,
that
literally,
because
yeah.
it sucks so much, it's easy to fall victim to someone who's preying on your insecurities and your fears and giving you false hope. And then the second layer of it is if you go see your doctor and your doctor is like, look, you got to put in real work. You got to improve discipline with lifestyle habits, drop the smoking, drop the drinking, sleep better, increase the amount of fruits and vegetables you're eating. These are things that take work, right?
Right.
And then this other person's like, but I got a potion. Like,
drink this up.
right?
Magic pill.
Yeah,
Like, here you go.
who would choose putting in all that work when there's a magic solution?
Exactly.
Taking the
It's just
easier route.
Yeah, for sure.
And what actually paralyzes me as a physician in order to debunk some of this stuff is that we brought up the conversation of evidence-based medicine, which is if I'm making a decision on when to give someone a blood transfusion, right? Because they're anemic, let's say. I know when to give that blood transfusion because we've done the research to say at this level, it doesn't really benefit their survival. At this level, it really does. So we know that's the cutoff we can give it. Then we can have different situations. The person's actively bleeding, all these other factors. But we have evidence guiding us, right?
Makes sense.
I can say, I have the evidence for this. But what I cannot say is, let's say a miracle claim is made. This will cure whatever problem you're having, right? I can then say there is no evidence to say that that's going on. But I cannot say this definitely does not work.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Because I would need to research and prove
you
that
need
this
evidence
doesn't
for
work.
that.
Yes.
Jeez. Yeah. Makes sense.
So it's
a good
so
argument.
it's so hard because what the conversation ends up becoming is the magical snake oil salesman ends up saying, this magic potion works. And I say, there's no evidence it works. And they say back, there's no evidence it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right.
Or marketing 101 right there.
And I'm like, but it's on you to prove it works.
Yeah.
You have to prove something works before you make an outrageous claim. So that's the constant battle I'm always facing of when can I cross that line of saying, nah, I don't even care that I don't have evidence that this doesn't work. I'm still going to say it doesn't work.
Yeah, is there legal implications for that? Like, why couldn't you just say that doesn't work? And I know
It's like an ethical thing more than anything. And you just want to not be hypocritical because if you're saying you need evidence to say something, you need to keep it across the board.
Yeah,
that makes
understandable.
sense.
The place where I like to go with it is there's no even reasonable explanation why this could work. And that's what makes me shit on it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, pricking your finger here has no reasonable way to affect your throat. This is not connected to this in any reasonable way. Why this point over this point? And if you have no explanation for it to me, it's bullshit. That's how I approach it. I approach like systematically, like how can this possibly work? And that's why I look at ghost hunting stuff and I'm like, I can't even figure out how this works.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't explain why it doesn't work.
That's also like why we go into it so often, like bringing people that, you know, don't believe, because it's so interesting. Because like for us, we're like, oh, we don't really know how to prove it unless you experience it yourself.
Exactly.
And so that's pretty much the only.
So are you saying you could take me to an abandoned hospital and prove to me that this exists?
Not any abandoned hospital, but some of them for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
For sure.
We've taken many people who are like complete skeptics, and they go in and be like, well, dang, I didn't think of it like this before.
Yeah.
Wow.
When we first started this in like 2019, it was mostly about like Sam and I and a couple of other friends just experiencing everything together. But now we're really trying to take new guests every single time that a lot of them, like Sam was saying, completely are skeptical, do not believe at all. And they experience more than us. Like they're the ones.
Is that because it's in their heads more?
You could say that, some people think, but
like you were just saying, it's like they can't prove that it's not real type thing. Because there's just no explanation for how that door slammed or how someone talked in their ear, but there was no one else in the room with them. It's like they know probably they're like in their mind, they want to find a solution or some logical answer, but they can't. And so it's not technically proven, but it's also like they couldn't prove it if they tried.
Wow. That's so scary. I wouldn't even know what to do in a situation like that. I think I would fully break down.
I actually did the first time
really?
I experienced a paranormal
we
thing.
We both cried on camera.
I was like
due to paranormal.
Yeah, it's bad.
Fear or unknown, what was driving that emotion?
Your entire worldview breaks down. And then looking forward, you don't know what to expect anymore because whatever you had thought previously is now altered. And so the way I just looked at life post paranormal experience was like, wait, this could be completely different than whatever I thought before.
Especially somebody who's like agnostic, believing or seeing something that like changes your belief system, even like your religion.
Yeah,
it's
like
crazy.
at the point of this, like we said, we weren't really believers. I was pretty much not religious at all. I was like at this point where it's like, okay, I just, I can't find a realistic explanation why this is real. And then so after this first paranormal experience, I was like, wait. Maybe it could. And like, should I become religious again? Like, oh my God, like everything changed,
So how does it change your day-to-day life now that you are aware that this could be a possibility and a reality?
I don't know if it changes it too much, but I mean, it depends on from person to person. Like we were saying, there's like a paranormal hangover that usually lasts for like 2 or 3 days. Like, especially if we go to a super intense location, like the Conjuring house, for example, that will be like a week paranormal hangover where we just have to, get back to acting normal and stuff, live a normal life. But
what about spirituality wise or religious wise?
I think it gives us hope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that's the main reason why we do this, and we always like tell like all of like our supporters this. Like the reason why we're trying to prove it is because it gave us hope, and it gave me hope
in
of,
what
like,
way?
Of like something more. It's like if you think that at the end of your life you're just gonna get buried and thrown on the ground and that's over with, that's like kind of a sad thought. But if there's that mind that maybe there possibly is something else out there, or there's different types of energies, or humans are not the only thing in this entire universe, it's kind of like inspiring.
yeah, and no matter what you believe in too, like you can put that concept to any sort of religion and it just helps. It just helps to know there's something more.
I think that there is power in understanding that we're smaller than everything else around us. It kind of takes some of the weight off your shoulders. When we look at the universe and we see how our understanding of the universe has changed over the last 100, 200 years, every time we make a scientific discovery, it sounds fake when we initially make the scientific discovery. Yeah. Like if someone holds up and they're like, I have the cure for the bacteria that is within us. Someone's like, what are you talking about? This is bullshit. And then it turns out to be revolutionary.
Exactly.
Or the vaccine comes out and it's revolutionary. And then on the other hand, we could see how badly it could be weaponized with the people giving false hope.
Exactly.
So the only way I can figure out what's the fair way of doing it is what's the intention and what's the evidence behind it.
Right.
That's how I think about it as a doctor. But I would love if you guys take me to... actually, I wouldn't love. But I think people would love.
People would love. I'd hate it. Well, come with us if you want.
Well, because it's scary. I get legitimately scared of the dark. I'm one of those fear of the unknown type people. Heights scare me. I'm very sensitive. I fight people for a living.
I was going to say, come on, man.
But you can't punch a ghost.
You could try.
You could try. That would be a really funny video.
Because it's like when you're in a ring against somebody, you see the threat.
Right.
You can assess the threat. You can make peace with the threat. But when the threat is all around you, it's whispering in your ear, it's closing doors. It's like, what else is it doing to me?
Exactly. You don't know how powerful or what it could do to you, or where it's at, or even how it could affect you.
Exactly.
What's the wildest story you've heard from someone else that you've met along this journey that they've experienced some kind of paranormal stuff?
With us specifically?
No, with like on their own, that they've shared a story with you.
Oh my gosh.
wow.
There's so many.
I'm sure, but like which one is,
I mean,
oh,
the
this
one
is really powerful.
that first came to mind is our friend Selena Spooky
Spooky
Boo.
Boo, yeah.
She has like some crazy psychic ability where she can dream, and even if she like spends time just collecting her thoughts and kind of goes into a trance, she can like almost envision things happening around her that are somehow constantly true. Like she it's like we didn't
insane.
believe it at first. We were like, whoa, this
like
is crazy.
X-Men thing.
But she
Yeah.
was able to predict everything that happened in one of our videos.
Yeah.
Like she called us and she was just like, Sam Colby, you gotta like be careful. This is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. You're gonna be running through a forest, like going in between these specific trees that how would she know in a forest what they look like? Everything she said was very true.
She's on the opposite side of a country.
Yeah.
So like, and she had never been to this place before. So it's
And she
insane.
knew.
She
Yeah.
knew. She knew. Now that's maybe not like paranormal.
Well,
in
I mean,
a
that's
sense,
not
but
medically explainable.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
There's
Psychic.
been people like who has told us maybe in this asylum we went to, one guy we do a couple of videos with, he said he like completely like passed out, like that's what he thought, and he woke up, but in reality he had been awake for like 4 or 5 hours, like having these like weird out of body like
Like dissociation.
yeah, kind of, but yeah, he didn't remember any of it. But all of his friends were saying you were acting like a different person that you had never like acted like forever, and like asking for things that you would never ask for, and be like a different
blackout.
person.
Like he
and
was
then
blackout drunk.
yeah,
But
then,
sober.
But
yeah,
sober.
but completely sober, and he's never had that since. And that was just like a one-time occurrence in his entire life.
And he can't recall anything that happened. It's like all of his friends saying this happened.
So he thinks like, you know, as much as we wouldn't believe in like possession, he believes like that, like he was just a different person for a couple hours.
All right, I'm reconsidering wanting to go. Can you imagine if you guys take me somewhere, I get possessed, and then I become a worse doctor for my patient? That's a
way.
legitimate fear I would
Yeah,
have.
right?
I don't know.
Become a different person.
Oh, but maybe I go and I become a better fighter.
There you go.
So there could be an upside.
Channel that boxing. You know?
You know what's crazy is after my whole situation happened, there were people saying, and I'm not saying we believe this at all, but just kind of interesting. People were blaming our videos on my cancer.
What in what sense? Like I can't even.
Like, for example, okay, so there's this haunted doll in Key West, Florida. His name is Robert the Doll. And he specifically, if you disrespect him or stare him in the eyes or take pictures, which we did, all of those, he gives you cancer. That's like the story of it. And I was diagnosed with testicular cancer not only like 2 months later.
Because of
later.
Robert.
That's what people say. I'm not going to say
Yeah.
that. I don't want to put that narrative
Who
out
owns
there.
Robert?
The
Museum.
museum now.
Can
yeah.
we sue?
Yeah.
We should.
Let's go.
It's their fault.
Get that money.
It's interesting though.
No. I mean, okay. So medically, I don't know what to say.
No, there's probably no explanation at all
Yeah,
for
no,
that.
I'm just
but
saying.
It's just
Okay,
interesting.
What I am curious about is how did hearing that make you feel?
I mean, I obviously didn't believe it. Of course, I don't know. I like just kind of shrugged it off and was just like, "There's no way," and just moved on with my day. Really.
Well, I don't know. Like I would kind of feel probably mad if I'm putting myself in your shoes because I'm like, dude, this is an unfortunate thing that's happened to me, and you're blaming my work on it.
Right.
You're going too far.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm putting.
And I mean, there was a lot of people in the comments that were defending me for that. I just was saying like, "Hey, you can create whatever narrative in your head that you
Yeah.
want to think makes sense."
Sure.
Like, okay, I'm gonna say it's just because I got unlucky. And testicular cancer is very common for young men, anyways. Like between I think like 20 to 35.
Yeah.
So I was just like, it was just an unlucky thing that happened.
Yeah.
Is most cancer just completely like random, or are there a series of
This
events?
is
that
so
you can
bad
do?
because I thought you were about to ask me, are most cancers caused by Robert the Doll?
I mean, yeah. Like, could you tell us that?
no. Are they completely random? There's a mix between spontaneous mutations that can cause random mutations in DNA that give rise to cancer. And then there's some that are passed along genetically that you can have a higher risk of developing cancer. So there's both. It's not one or the other. It's almost like the nature versus nurture argument.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in this case, we have definite proof of both. Because there's certain cancers, like for example, colon cancer, we now recommend starting screening with a colonoscopy at age 45.
Okay.
But if you have a first degree relative who has colon cancer, you start your screening 10 years prior to their age at diagnosis.
I see.
So like, let's say your dad had colon cancer at age 30. At age 20, we start screening you.
I see.
Because that raises your risk substantially. But that's not for every cancer, because some cancers are sporadic and have no family connection at all.
Testicular cancer. Is that going to be something my kids should worry about?
To be honest, I don't know. We could probably look that up.
Okay.
I think it's good for the audience right now to sort of lay out exactly why we're talking about cancer so much.
Right. Okay.
To start, tell your story. How did that whole process start up for you?
Yeah, well, it's actually been kind of a shorter journey than expected. I started noticing some pain in November. It was actually the first memory I have of noticing some pain was when we were shooting a video. We were shooting this lighthouse paranormal video where we had to walk a bunch of stairs, like 4 or 5 times, 300 feet in the sky. And I remember looking at Sam on like the 3rd or 4th round of going up the stairs and being like, dude, it feels like my ball is in pain. Like it feels like a slight bruise.
Were you thinking ghost?
At that point, no, but oh my God.
Thinking like, yeah, like I actually slammed it with a camera or
I
something
thought I smacked it or something, but it was just, yeah, my left testicle, and it was like very slight. It wasn't even that bad. It was just going upstairs, moving like my legs a certain way. Yeah, like a very dull ache. But then I would relax and it would completely go away. Like a week later, I was completely fine. But I noticed with like a bunch of strenuous activity, like I've been trying to go on hikes a lot recently, and Sam and I have picked up pickleball in Vegas.
Yeah. Nice.
And I noticed being on my feet all day, it would flare up a little bit, get worse, which I thought was just inflammation at first. And then so I'd relax for a few days and it would go down. Or if I had sex or if I masturbated, the next day it would flare up really bad, and then I would relax and it would go down. And so that would just repeat, and that cycle went over until about like January 15th, where it flared up really bad one day, and it finally made me pick up the phone and call the doctor because, yeah, symptoms were, it was at this point, when it would flare up, it was swollen. There was a pain that was now starting in my lower left pelvis. It was like by my waistband. And it was like this throbbing pain, almost like a cramping pain when I would sit down. And it like after it would flare up for the first day to like 3 days, it would be even hard to stand up. It was that bad. But again, then I would relax for a few days and it would go down completely. Sure. The only thing that I noticed that every single time it would go down after the few days of rest is each time, because again, this cycle kind of happened like 2 or 3 times before I called a doctor, the swelling would shrink down, but my testicle itself would be larger and more firm, and like it looked asymmetrical in my sac. It was like weighing down.
More so than usual.
Yeah, and each time would get a little bit worse. I would notice that, but like again, the pain would go away. It just, at that point I was like feeling down there and trying to figure out what was going on. It was definitely firm. In November, it was very slight. And so that was like the early, in my opinion, stage of it or whatever. But December and January, there was everything like affecting it. Like you could tell. And there was some swelling. And I thought I had something called acute epididymitis.
Yes.
But so it was January 25th, I believe. I went to the doctor just for a general checkup. I hadn't been to a doctor in like 8 years, my bad.
Okay.
But oops. But I went.
I mean, and that also doesn't mean you would have caught it earlier.
Right.
Because like, for example, if you're not having an issue with that area, I might not do a testicular exam. It depends on what you're coming in for. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And there was like a stigma where like, at first I was like embarrassed because it was like down there, and I was like, maybe I should like wait for a little bit. And that's probably why I waited for like a good month and a half before actually going in, before it got super bad. But
did you feel comfortable sharing all that with Sam?
I actually don't think I told Sam until after my doctor's appointment.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah. I think you told me.
The pain, maybe.
The pain. End of like December, when it was like your second time of like actually having it bad. You were like, there's something weird. Like, I don't know, maybe I should chill out or something.
I was just playing it down. I was just like, oh, I think I just like hit it. Like, it just feels weird, but that's it. But low key, I knew like after all day, it'd be like very swollen, but I didn't go into detail with Sam about that. So anyways, again, like I told the doctor there was something wrong going on down there, and he did an exam and told me like something was wrong, obviously, and said like, I think you have acute epididymitis. You should go see a radiologist in the next month. And so I decided to be proactive about it and go see one the next morning. And I'm so lucky I did.
Wait, he wanted you to see a radiologist?
Yes.
Why a radiologist?
So they do ultrasounds. They do all the CT scans, MRIs.
I see what you mean. Okay, so he wanted to order imaging.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And he gave me shots for like STDs to be safe. Like I got like that gonorrhea shot in like my ass.
Well, no,
like, it was interesting.
It's random. And a little bit, sorry, tell your story and then I'll tell you my medical feedback on it. Go
okay,
ahead.
okay.
Yeah.
They were doing it, I guess, just for caution. But anyway.
Sure.
So I went to the radiologist. They did an ultrasound on my sac, which was great.
Which is like the primary thing we do in a lot of these scenarios.
Yeah.
Because we don't have, not x-ray vision, but like see-through vision with our hands. We can see something's abnormal. We can see that there's a spot area of pain. But in order to visualize exactly what we're looking at, the ultrasound helps guide that.
Right. And I'm lucky that he told me to go to a radiologist, but I'm even luckier that I decided to go the next morning because...
Why did he schedule it a month? I'm just curious.
Well, he'd never even scheduled it. He was just like, you should just go within this next month. You can go to this radiology place down the street. And it was my decision to... I didn't even drive home. I drove straight to the radiologist, to the front desk so I could talk to a human and not go on phone calls and stuff. And... I just got so lucky and they were just like, we actually just had a free spot the next morning at 8 a.m. So it was right in the morning the next day and did the whole ultrasound and everything. And Sam and I were in a meeting and I got a call from an unknown number. And so I just like hung up. I didn't think anything about it, but
You're like ghost.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's probably just a ghost calling me, whatever. But I was like looking at my voicemail and I noticed like, you can see like the transcript pop up. And I saw like, hello, it's like your doctor. Like, I need you to call me back ASAP. It's very serious. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't give me an anxiety,
the
of
worst
course.
message
like,
you could possibly get from a doctor.
And so I was trying to keep my cool during this meeting, just like only thinking about that. And then as soon as the meeting was over, I went downstairs and I called my doctor and he said that the radiologist said that I had a mass in my ball that was 95% likely to be cancer. And that was like when my first, like obviously my heart dropped at that moment. And he told me immediately on the phone call, he was just like, don't worry, like it's very curable. Usually you just have to get a surgery and that's that, but I need you to come to the office right away. And so I remember just going straight to my bathroom, looking at myself in the mirror and being like, all right, like it is what it is. Don't freak out. Like you got this. And just kind of talking to myself, giving myself a pep talk. And I didn't even tell Sam. I just started driving and then I called Sam, I remember, and let you know what was going on as I was driving to the doctor's office. But yeah, at the doctor's, they obviously reassured me again. They were just like, it does look like it's cancer, but it seems like we caught it early. So we just need you to get the surgery as soon as possible and then you should be fine. So they said the next steps are go right now to get some blood work done where they test something called your tumor markers, your AFP, HCG. And if those are high, elevated, then it means there's a tumor present. And so got the blood work done and met up with Sam actually. He drove out. We went to like a Walgreens or something to get the blood work. So he drove out all the way to Walgreens, like gave each other hugs and talked about it. That was the first time I saw him or saw anybody besides my doctor since hearing about it.
And which was really, really scary because I don't know what all they do at their blood work center, but they were telling you some scary things like, oh, wait, you have cancer? Are you prepared to not have kids? Like this could be like life or death. And it was just scaring Colby for no reason.
Well, you know what's interesting, and I was wanting to ask you about this as well, is they asked me, they were just like, no offense, like we're not saying you look like this at all or whatever, like, or trying to make any assumptions. They were just like, were you a female at one point of your life? And I was like, no, what? Like almost taken aback, like what the hell are they talking about? And they said, we needed to test for your HCG, which is found in pregnant women. And so they didn't even understand.
What you mean. Okay.
They didn't get that like it was also like a tumor cancer thing.
Yeah. So let me just jump in there because we need to give a little feedback from what happens in those situations that I think potentially destroys everyone's experience with the healthcare system. And it's when people that are within the healthcare system that are not experts in the field start giving you opinions and thoughts as to what's going on. And it's sometimes being helpful because they're thinking outside the box. And sometimes it's fully inaccurate, fully fear-mongering based. And I have no idea how to approach it as a doctor, because I don't want someone telling you things about beta HCG that they don't even know why I'm ordering the test. And they're like dissuading you almost from doing it, or scaring you and telling you that this is going to affect your life in a certain way when they have no idea what the statistics are or what kind of cancer you have, all these things. So I actually struggle with this a lot. And I see that happen where I make a diagnosis to a patient. I ask them if they have any questions. They say no. Let's say this is in an ER setting. I walk out. Then someone walks in who's helping transport them, etc. Then they ask that person because they came up with a question. And then that person starts answering based on no expertise in the subject, and it becomes a disaster. So I have no idea how to fix that.
And it was interesting because then afterwards they were being very sweet. And I don't mean to like knock these nurses at all, but like, they were just kind of like, oh, well, be thankful for every day. Like, be thankful that you're here, man. Just wake up and pray like every day. And I was like, what?
You telling him he's going to die in 2 days?
It was like
are you
making
kidding
my
me?
anxiety just like times 10 pretty much, because my doctor just told me, oh, you'll be fine with just a surgery. Then this lady's like, yeah, wake up and pray. Like, you should be thankful you're here.
I mean, that's not bad advice, but I understand why it's anxiety provoking.
She was like, don't tell your family or anybody yet. Just like, make sure you figure it out before. I was like, what? Like in this crazy time, I feel like you should try to get as much support as you can. Like,
exactly.
Your family and friends, for sure.
Yeah, she told me specifically, she was like, because I made a joke. I was like, well, guess I gotta call my mom now, as I was walking out. And she was just like, don't do that. That's just gonna like freak her out. Like, you should wait until you're 100% sure. Wait till these blood results come back and everything. And
But that's so isolating.
I called my mom when I got in the car.
Yeah.
So she was the first person I called like 5 minutes later. And then, the next steps were getting a urology appointment. And then honestly, I kind of felt like that was pointless, if I'm being completely real.
Sure.
Because all they did was I had to fill out a bunch of paperwork. I went into the office, they checked it, and they were just like, yeah, you need to get it taken out. But apparently the urologist was the one that could help me schedule the orchiectomy. And so not like the actual doctor. And so I needed to have that step. But what was interesting is the urologist that I saw in Vegas had scheduled me out for an orchiectomy, like, I think I was saying like 2 weeks later. Maybe
like 3 weeks. It was like end of February, and you found out in like the beginning of February.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
2 to 3 weeks later. And like I was saying, one of my team members, I was telling him about the situation, of course. He just called around to like the Mayo Clinic and UCLA and got me like one of the best referrals ever with like one of the most reputable testicular, specifically cancer doctors or like urologists out there. And once I got a virtual appointment with him, he was able to get me in like 4 days later. It was super quick. And so basically I'm saying that because like my team, and if we didn't try hard, we wouldn't have like
have resources to travel and do all these things.
Yeah. You need
people
that as
are
well.
also, sometimes being a single parent and having two jobs in the middle of all this. So it's like a lot of things align very well. So I'm happy that happened for you.
I got so lucky, but just to give you a timeline, on January 25th, went to the doctor's appointment, and February 6th, I got the surgery.
12 days.
Yeah. Literally. So,
but think about that. If you went to that doctor's appointment, he said get the radiologist appointment within a month. Then after that, your urologist would have been, 2-3 weeks later. Then if you would have listened to that guy and got a surgery in Vegas, which would be ideal for most people being in the same area, that could have also been a month. You probably would not even have your surgery yet to this day if you stayed in the same system that you were going to go.
And like with the type of cancer that I had too, which we can get into in a second, but like it was rapid. There was a part of it that was like rapidly growing, and who knows if it could have developed into a stage 2 sort of a cancer if I did wait till now to just get my surgery. It's just scary stuff.
Very.
But I can go into the surgery if you want, or I could keep going with this path.
Let's take a pause so then I can sort of translate of how ideally this should go and why certain paths were chosen versus others, because I think it's an important learning situation.
Yeah.
So ideally, this is in a world where we know that someone already has testicular cancer. So we're kind of being Monday morning quarterback, but I'm explaining how it should go. A patient would come in with testicular pain. Let's say they come into my office, young person. Obviously, testicular cancer would be part of my differential diagnosis, which is one of the options that I could diagnose the patient with, simply because of their age and because that there is some kind of growth in the area. We also know, as you said, testicular cancer happens most commonly in those age 20 to their 30s. And then what's interesting about it is it also happens in those age 60 plus. So it kind of has two spikes in life. The highest spike is early in life, and the second spike is later in life. It usually doesn't happen midlife for people. We don't even really know why. And the types of testicular cancers change with the age. Like usually the ones later in life tend to be less invasive, less problematic. The ones that happen earlier in life are the ones that have some potential for growth. So a patient comes in with testicular pain. Right away, I have to rule out, is this a traumatic situation? Is this an infectious situation? Or is this a cancer situation? Your doctor seemed to diagnose you with all
pretty much
of the above at the same time. There's ways where we can start making diagnoses or narrowing down our list of diagnoses so that we don't have to give you all the treatments, like antibiotics for potential STIs, when I could test them in the office and get you a result in 24 hours, where I don't have to then expose you to antibiotics unnecessarily. So that's like one step that could have been skipped. If you're having pain that is acute right now, for example, like let's say you came into my office right now, you're like, it hurts really bad, and I press on the area and it hurts, I'm sending you for an ultrasound in that moment.
Wow.
Not for the fear of cancer, but for the fear of a condition known as testicular torsion, where the testicle can actually malrotate and cut off circulation to it, which is a surgical emergency because the testicle is actively dying. And that kind of can happen on its own for like without a real true explanation. So I'm sending, like if you came in, you're like, my testicle hurts and it hurts right now, you're getting an ultrasound that day, not in a month.
That's insane. Yeah.
Just for that reason. And we would have then seen a mass and then gotten the information earlier. So that's something that would have changed in the process. And then once we would have gotten the report of this ultrasound, we would have seen that there's some kind of unknown mass. You would then come back to my office. I would explain to you the thing that we just said, that testicular cancer happens at your age group, 95% survival rate, 5 years. So it's a very treatable cancer with surgery. There are some instances where we do chemotherapy or radiation therapy, depending on the type of cancer it is. And testicular cancer really falls into two categories, and then they can be subdivided even further. But one is a germ cell tumor, which is the type of cells that make your sperm. And then a stromal type tumor, which is the hormonal supportive tissue of the testicle. That can have a tumor. Then the germ cell tumor can be further divided into seminoma and non-seminoma. And then to make it even more confusing, there's mixed types and all these other things. And those are all minutia that we can talk about once we get your diagnosis, because you actually sent me your records to talk about more accurately here on the show. So each one has different survival rates, different treatments, and that's all a conversation that needs to happen with your oncologist. So far, the biggest thing that happened was very messy in the beginning stages of the diagnosis. A lot of anxiety, a lot of worry. And I'm curious, obviously, how you took it, but you're in the situation, you're making the decisions, your best friend. Sam, how are you handling that call as a caregiver for your friend, as a supporter of your friend emotionally? What's your thoughts on this process? Are you Googling right away? What's the first thing you do?
Yeah, I mean, I saw him say, like, you know, back at this meeting when he first got his call, he's like, I got to go take this. And I knew it was from his doctor. I was like, my heart dropped with him as he was going, but I was like, okay, I'm not on this call. And then like, as soon as he's like, I'm going to run out in the car, like call me ASAP, just called him. And then obviously as soon as he say, hey, I have this thing that's like 95% cancerous, obviously both of our hearts were dropping at that moment. And like, obviously every single thought imaginable was happening at that moment. It's just kind of like, what's going to happen? But at that moment I was like, okay, like two things, I can either freak out or I can be as like straight up as possible and try to make this as calm as possible, because I know in his mind he's probably freaking out. And so I was like, okay, we got this. No matter what happens, we'll just take it one step at a time. We've done everything in our career up until this moment, one step at a time together, and we'll just make it happen. And, you know, if there's anybody in this world that can travel around and make a million calls and drop everything and push everything for work, it's us. So let's make it happen and we'll figure it out. And so that's kind of how it happened, which he kind of touched on a little bit, but I want to just give props 100% to Colby for taking this as the most strong I've ever seen anybody do this. It wasn't like even bad of an eye. He was on the same phone call. He was telling me he had cancer. He was like, I got this. Let's just make it happen. We'll take it one step at a time and we'll get through this. I'm not going to die. Let's make it happen. So I was like, whoa, all right. I got to be exactly like that tenfold. So like nothing wrong happens. And so that full day was like definitely the scariest, because at that point, like obviously I had no idea anything about this, and even lesser known than what he had known because he'd gotten the call from the doctor. So I was thinking like, oh God, like this could, you know, this changes everything. Like maybe like this is cancer we're talking about. When anybody throws out that word, it's like you immediately think of the worst case scenario. And so it's like, one, just how fragile is life? And then two, like, oh my God, I can't believe like everything ever gets put aside for health. And so when those health scares, especially something as serious as cancer, rolls around, like you it truly like hits you like a ton of bricks, saying like, oh God, what am I valuing? So luckily, one day later, we called my sister, who actually is an oncologist,
oh, wow.
which is awesome. And
Perfect.
we were able to have her talk us through the process. And her first thought was, hey, just FYI, testicular cancer is like 95% curable. And if you're in stage 1, it's like 99% curable. And so that was just the utmost sigh of relief at that point. Because up until that, those 24 hours, we were thinking worst case scenario.
Sure. Yeah. Wow, that's so powerful that you actually had to strengthen up to match Colby's resilience.
He's insane. I mean, throughout this whole thing, he's like, you know what? I could wait. Now I'm going to do it myself. It's like he's just done everything in his whole power to be like strong and be like, no, like I don't want to like, you know, shy away from this. I want to tell everybody, inspire people. I want to get this done as fast as humanly possible, whatever I need to do. And I think everybody has taken that as like a learning, like, oh my God, like
we should all do
crazy experiences, and especially traumatic experiences, you can either back down and shy away from, or you can take headstrong. And he's taken that like to the fullest extent, and that's awesome.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah. I mean, my take on it was...
Did you know he felt that way?
You've told me before, but not to that extent, so thank you for saying that.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, I was just for myself making jokes about it and trying to stay positive, and I think the main thing in my head is I just said it is what it is. Like, it already happened. Why would I be upset about something that is literally inside of me as we speak? Like, it doesn't do anything to sit down and cry about it or worry about it. It just makes things worse, if anything. So I was just kind of, on game mode where I just was like, what can I do? And we're just so fortunate to be in the position that we are, that we can travel and have a team that can help call and stuff like that, that it was more like, all right, game plan. This happened. I'm going to survive. That was my biggest fears, were death and infertility. Those were my two things. And so after researching and talking to Allison, shout out his sister, oncologist, we realized that like both of those were going to be okay. You can bank your sperm if you need to. And again, 99% like survival rate if caught early. And so it was just kind of like okay, now step by step, what do we need to do? And I think the major thing was not thinking too far ahead.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even think about like the possibility of chemo. I was just thinking about like, okay, what do I have to do today? Okay, I have to go to a radiologist today. Okay, tomorrow I have to do blood work.
So you did like one foot in front of the other.
Exactly.
Not thinking too far.
Exactly. And just like, oh my gosh, Google was my worst enemy. Like before and after the diagnosis. Before I was like, there was that one day where it like really flared up, January 15th. I like was going on Google and I saw the cancer word and I was like, there's no way. There's no way. Like, it's definitely like inflammation
Not me,
for
yeah.
sure. Exactly.
That's
And-
how everyone I think would think of it too. Like,
Well, you'd be surprised. Sometimes it's the opposite end of the spectrum,
Really?
where it's people have headache, they'll go on WebMD and they'll see cancer and they're like, I have cancer. So it works both ways.
interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. But I mean, I just try, like, I have, you know, Sam or my parents look up anything that I'm like worried about on Google. If I like really want to figure out like an answer, I won't Google it. I'll just have Sam do it. And then he'll be like, hey, like, this is what I've read, and probably like weed out some of the stuff that I don't want to hear maybe. But
I feel like Google in general is just a horrible way to get advice.
yeah.
I think Google on its own is not great, but Google to prepare you to ask good questions, to have a baseline understanding of a situation, to then go work with a doctor is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is why I think AI is not replacing doctors, because the AI can tell you all the great stuff, the survival numbers, this, that. It's all factually accurate in most cases, but it doesn't have the humanistic component of what to expect. What's the next step? What's the process here? Who do I call? Who gives me this information? How do I get emotional support? How should I be thinking about this? That's where the AI suffers. So I don't hate Google. I hate Google when people use it on their own without someone guiding them through the process of Googling.
I think it's easy to make assumptions using Google because
Oh.
they'll tell you every spectrum of possible outcomes,
Yeah.
and it's up to you to figure out which one.
Sure.
And so it's like you can spiral really quickly.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
Go down a bad rabbit hole of like Reddit, reading personal stories and
Sure.
stuff. It's like,
Yeah. And what I will say is you truly are breaking a stigma to talk about an area of the body where people are uncomfortable talking about generally, which is problematic because they wait so long to seek care.
yeah.
So hopefully you're encouraging people to seek care earlier when they are having symptoms, whether that's they felt something abnormal, like with their fingers, like they felt a mass, or they felt a symptom in that area, they're more likely to go. But then also you're laying the foundation of how a person should handle health problems. Not so much that you push through and you were a soldier. That's great. Not everybody will have the capacity or ability to do that. But the fact that you advocated for yourself, that when a doctor said something and you didn't feel like it was right, you saw a second opinion. You went to someone else. You confided in your friend. That kind of advocacy is probably the biggest factor on good health outcomes. And it doesn't always have to come from you, even though in your situation it did, and that's awesome. Sometimes it's having another person in the room who can advocate on your behalf when you're so distraught with a new diagnosis. That's why I encourage everyone when they're going for a serious medical visit to bring a trusted partner with them, so that if you're having the cancer word completely dissociate your mind and you're not thinking clearly, your friend can say, doctor, what you're saying is not making sense. He can be the objective voice in the room. And maybe not even Sam, because Sam might not be as objective because he's also emotional in this situation. But having a friend or someone who it can be more objective than you, that's going to go really far for people. So I appreciate you doing that for people. I think.
I think
course.
that's the moral of the story right there. Is like you were like, all right, I'm not going to take no for an answer. Like I'm going to do as much as I possibly can in my willpower to make this as quick and as healthy as possible.
Yeah, and if guys out there like think it's embarrassing, especially young guys, since it is like a young man cancer, it's really nothing to be embarrassed about. Like I've told so many people about this, and especially like doctors, and not one instance has somebody like made fun of me for it.
Yeah, no.
Like, so like there's nothing really to be afraid of. And again, this is your health out like we're talking about here.
Yeah.
It's the most important thing is to go get treated, go get help as soon as possible if you think something's wrong.
Because if you go and it wasn't a cancer or a big problem, the worst case scenario is that you went.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you didn't go and it does become a really big problem, that's a way bigger problem. So that's like the
Right.
risks you should weigh.
Yeah.
Like maybe a little embarrassing because you didn't want to lower your shorts or whatever it is, but small trade-off for the win that you get.
Exactly.
So I hope they do that. Something also I wanted to tell the audience, because they might be wondering why the next step was right away to get the testicle surgically removed as opposed to doing a biopsy, is because what we actually found, and this is a mistake that I didn't even know early on in my training, that when you get a diagnosis of testicular cancer, the actual biopsy is made when you remove the entire testicle. Because
Right.
if you have the tumor markers, you have the findings on the ultrasound, that's enough to warrant the removal. And a biopsy, putting a needle in the area, can actually spread facilitate spread of the cancer. That's why, because if you have a cancer elsewhere, we usually do a biopsy before surgically removing it to understand what it is. But the testicle is a unique area where you don't do that. You just remove the testicle. If you have the tumor markers plus the ultrasound findings, you can go ahead and remove it at that point and then find out what type of cancer it is, which is what happened in your case.
Exactly. And what a lot of people don't know too is there were so many of my friends, rightfully so, not making fun of them at all, but like they were thinking that they literally like cut open the sac and take out the ball like that. It's like not that graphic, not that scary sounding. It's like an incision right in the waistband. And so it was... Honestly, it was not that bad. I was nervous because I've never been under general anesthesia before.
Sure.
And so it's just kind of nerve-wracking to know that I was just going to basically black out without my control. But it really, like, it was so easy. They just count down from 5 and you can't even remember until you wake up. Like, the next thing I remembered was Sam walking into the room, like filming me pretty much. Like, hey!
How you feeling?
Exactly. But yeah, to your point, like they needed to take it out in order to take it to a lab to get the pathology report. And so, yeah, it was immediately get it out.
Did you also, this is something that wasn't sent to me, but I'm curious if you did you also get imaging of like CAT scans as well?
Yeah. So I did a CT scan right after the ultrasound as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason for that and why I assumed it was done is because when you're looking at the prognosis of testicular cancer is you're looking for the pathology report, which you sent me, that is what the testicle is made of, the testicular tumor is made of. And then you're looking at the blood tests before and after the removal of the testicle. And the CAT scan results would show us if it has spread to other areas or lymph nodes, the lymphatic system. So correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding of what has happened so far is the testicle was removed. It was found to be a germ cell type tumor, a mixed germ cell type tumor.
Yes.
And it was fully removed. There was no residual amount left. There was no lymphatic spread. There was no spread to anywhere else in your body.
Correct.
And your blood levels of the tumor markers disappeared after the surgery.
Yeah. So that was a scary moment because so your HCG, your beta HCG, mine pretty much went back to normal the next week.
Yep.
But your AFP is known to halve each time that you go. And so it took about 6 weeks, 5 weeks-ish for it to really get into normal ranges. And so it was something that I've been calling scanxiety, where like you just go.
That's a good word, scanxiety.
Yeah, where it's just like you forget about it for a few days and then you go and you get your scans or you get your blood work and then you have that scanxiety for like 24 hours, you get it and then it's like, oh yeah, it's like lowered, hell yeah. But it basically got all the way to normal ranges now, so I'm normal.
So amazing. So that's a really great prognosis. That puts you in the lower risk category. But then your doctor has also brought up the possibility of doing one of two approaches. One is active surveillance, where we just keep an eye on the area and seeing what happens with no more treatment now that we've removed the tumor. And the second option is doing a course of chemotherapy with something known as BEP, which are chemotherapy agents that you would get injected via IV. Take me through your understanding of each of the two paths and what has your doctor recommended thus far?
Well, to give context of what I was thinking, I was like, I do not want to do chemo. Like it was like from...
Well, how did your doctor explain it to you, that there's these two approaches?
Well, okay, yeah. So I saw the blood levels got to normal. Technically, that means I was cancer-free. Like the oncologist said, you are cancer-free.
You're cancer-free.
Okay, see, so that's awesome. And so that was the first good news. I saw an oncologist and he was like, you're cancer-free. Here's the thing though. It was like one of those things. I couldn't get too excited about it. He was just like, we could do the active surveillance or chemo. Active surveillance is where you would have to, for that, at least the next 2 years. He didn't give me a timeline, but he basically said like, we're just going to need to watch you very, very closely, where you're going to have to get blood work every single month, CT scans like every 3 months, maybe even like an MRI like once a year. But again, he never told me like complete details on that. It's just watching you closely and you have to be diligent about going to checkups. And he said, or we could give you one cycle, 21 days worth of chemo, or I hope 21 days. I'm not 100% sure on that. And that will greatly reduce your risk of recurrence of it coming back. So what I had was like the garden variety tumor is I had something called like a 40% embryonal carcinoma.
Correct.
And that's like a extremely fast spreading cancer.
Correct.
And so that specifically made my situation a little bit worse to where basically the oncologist said I had a 35% chance of recurrence. Okay. And he told me that 5 minutes after he told me I was cancer-free.
Yeah.
And so like I never really got to celebrate in my head. Like, of course, came home and Sam had like a cookie cake for me and we like cheered and like celebrated. Yeah, and all that. But it like deep down in the back of my head, I was just still thinking about that recurrence number. Like that's a third of a percent chance, or like that is going to come back possibly. And so
would you have rather not known?
I think I would have rather known, because that's where it leaves my decision right now of, and I wanted to ask you about this specifically and hear what you have to say about this, but literally in a week from filming this is when I have to tell my oncologist what I want to do. I have a CT scan on April 6th. And then after that is the meeting where it's like, do I want to go this chemo route 21 days, or do I want to just take the risk of the 35% chance it could come back?
So talk about like the day of when you found out, and then the week after, because you were pretty set in stone and you knew exactly what he was going to offer before you even walked into the doctor's office. Yeah.
So again, I was like, I knew there was the chemo word in the back of my head ever since like I got the diagnosis at first. But I was just like, I'll be fine. I'll just do active surveillance, and like it's a 70% thing. Like I'll be good. But yeah, it was just conflicting in my head because I went home wanting to celebrate and stuff. And I was so positive up until like this past week. I've still been positive, but like the anxiety has hit me worse this last week than it has this entire journey, because it's now like up to me to decide. It's not like a doctor saying, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this.
Yeah, you can't just put your head down and say, I'm going to push through this.
Exactly.
Now it's like you have to push your head down and push through one of two paths.
Right. And there's like so many factors to each path. It's like I could choose active surveillance, and there's a 70% chance that it never comes back and I'm totally fine. And that's like a pretty good chance. But there's also that third looming in the back of your head. So is that anxiety worth it? And in my opinion, I don't think it was. So like doing the chemo is going to get that 35% down to 5% recurrence. And then if it doesn't come back in 2 years, that 5% goes down to like 2 to 3% of recurrence for the rest of my life. And that's where I'm at right now.
How has your doctor relationship, I don't know if you're having these discussions with the oncologist or your primary care doctor, who have been in discussing the pros and cons of this? Have they been positive? Have they just been like, here are your options, now kind of screw off? Or
kind of. I mean, so I've only talked to the oncologist about it like once in person, and then haven't heard from him since.
How was that conversation? Take me through that combo.
It was like basically like I said, where it was like, all right, so
here are your options, and here's the percentages by.
It was like, you're cancer free, but it's like, that's what it sounded like. But you have a 35% chance of recurrence. So here's your options. We could do active surveillance, where we do blah, 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 blah. Or we can give you a dose of chemo right now, which is what I recommend. So let us know in like a week or so. Goodbye. It was like a 10-minute or less visit.
That sucks.
Yeah.
And this is a recurring theme that I keep hearing doing these podcasts. Actually, Hannah Fry, who's a mathematician, was sitting in one of these seats not so long ago telling me about her cervical cancer diagnosis. And she faced the same exact thing where they were like, do you want us to take out everything? Do you want us to take out some of the nodes? And she felt rushed because she's given statistics, but not a true understanding of what can happen. So now an important thing that I want to do before we get into the decision-making process of this, or at least the discussion of the decision-making process, is so people understand and they can follow along in the story why you're facing this decision. So because we keep saying you were low risk, right? Because the type of cancer that you had, the fact that there was no lymph node spread, the fact that the blood tests all resulted normal makes you low risk. But there was one component that was the majority component of the tumor, that puts you in a slightly higher low risk still category. So like elevated low risk. And because of that, the active surveillance and the dose of chemotherapy kind of start evening out in terms of what we've seen from evidence, where the decision is not clear on what is the optimal route. Because had your tumor been made up of that same embryological carcinoma, you would just say active surveillance and you'd move on. You would say no need for the thing. But because of that, it puts you in a slightly higher risk. Now it's a little bit more balanced. That's why we're facing this decision. Now, medically, legally, all of that, just for your understanding, I'm not your doctor. I'm not going to tell you what to do, nor should your doctor ever tell you what to do. But in terms of just laying out informationally what happens in these scenarios, I think we're both comfortable having that discussion. I think it's valuable.
For sure.
Because so people can see what should happen during a visit. And if it doesn't happen with a specialist, because specialists are pressed for time, they're running in and out of rooms, a relationship with a primary care doctor should happen in this way, that the doctor can guide you for you to make the best decision by laying out what the pros and cons are of not just the statistics, but of the reality. What is life like? Not just statistics, but what is your life? How does your life change? And right now we're facing the decision of active surveillance as being the one route where you're going to be doing some kind of scans. And there's different strategies to active surveillance, which you can discuss with your doctor, obviously, where maybe you do more aggressive scanning early on and then it gets more sporadic as you get older because of this potential risk of recurrence. Or do you go down this one single dose of chemotherapy? When I say dose, I mean course of chemotherapy. What has your doctor told you about risks of going down? You know, the risk of going down active surveillance is that there could be a recurrence. What is your knowledge of the risks of the chemotherapy component?
Well, they gave me like a 4-page packet about all the side effects of chemo. And so it was definitely hard to stomach, but it's like one of those things where, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but doctors have to tell you everything that could happen. Pretty much.
Legally, they're handing you the paper and they can check a box and they say, I've educated the patient on the risks.
And so there was, I can't even name all of them. There was like,
you know, I can't name them. There's too many of them. And the way that they explain them is, okay, 10% of people will have these side effects. 1% of people will have this list of side effects. And then really rare, even less than 1% people will have these side effects. And then it's like, and then some people will have long lasting side effects. So if you really look into that, that can be so anxiety provoking that it almost becomes the bigger problem.
Exactly. And that's why this last week has been like the hardest for me, is because I did accidentally go down a Google rabbit hole. Not gonna lie.
Of course.
And luckily having his sister like to be able to call, and she's an oncologist herself and actually cares to talk to me for a while. Like the roasted doctors. No, I'm just kidding. She basically told me that like with one cycle, which hopefully again,
well, what did Google first tell you?
Google told me all the worst things, like a long-term problem, like lung failure, like actually any organ failure, like diabetes. Obviously short-term side effects would be the hair loss, which everybody is aware of. Oh man, there's just so many.
So a lot of side effects.
Yeah, like blood, like red blood cell, like decreasing that, like infertility possibly, like testosterone levels tanking. So many, I could go on and on. And I don't even know, because I like stopped looking at half the side effects because I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to do chemo yet. So I was like, why am I processing all this?
I think at that moment too, for that first like week after receiving that packet, going down the rabbit hole, you were like, oh God, this sounds awful. I'm just going to go do active surveillance no matter what.
Yeah, that whole week I was thinking, this whole last week, I was thinking the active surveillance route, because in my head, I was like, well, here's the thing. If I do chemo now, there's going to be all these side effects and possibly infertility. But if it comes back and I do chemo later, it's going to be the same side effects. So I might as well just take that 70%, chance I will be completely fine and don't have to do anything in the future. And then if it comes up in the future, then I'll deal with it then. But the thing about that was, if it came back, and crucial thing I forgot to mention was, if it did come back, I'd have to do 3 to 4 cycles of BEP and possibly an RPL&D surgery to get the lymph nodes removed, because that's where testicular cancer is shown to spread. Yeah. And so now it was like, okay, 4 months of chemo and surgery, or 21 days of chemo to ensure yourself for life, pretty much, like essentially. Okay. And so that's where I'm at right now. And obviously when I called Allison, she was telling me that a lot of the longer like side effects that you might experience like in your 40s, 50s, 60s come from multiple doses of chemo, multiple courses. And so that kind of put into my head where she basically like talked it down to where she was like, if you do one cycle, yes, there is potential side effect risks, but it's way, 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 way less than obviously doing 3 to 4. Courses, yeah. And so basically just talked me down into being like, this might be the right decision just to ensure that safety. And it's only 21 days. And again, the anxiety of that 35% like looms on you, where every day you're like thinking of that. Even if 70 is, you know, twice as much as the 30, 35, it's still like something in the back of your head of like, is this going to come back? Is this going to come back? And so for me personally, I just thought it would be better to get rid of that risk as much as possible. And I think, just being completely honest with everybody, I think that my biggest fear was the hair loss. Not gonna lie.
That's a fair
and I mean,
feeling to have.
Our profession too, like us being on camera 24/7, you understand like what I'm talking about. Like that is like terrifying. It's so different than if I worked just somewhere else doing another job. But considering the job that I had, it was like even more scary. And having the whole like social media like look at you too is even more scary. So there was a lot of factors for me personally to think about, but
that's what the doctor needs to discuss with you.
Yeah.
Like the example I gave with Hannah Fry was, if I'm putting on a patient and I know them well, that they're a musician, and I know the medication can cause a tremor, I'm going to be much more sensitive about introducing that medication to them than I would a person who doesn't play the instrument and doesn't care if they have a mild tremor. So that's the same exact logic that you're doing. So I'm glad you have a person helping you, even though they're not your official doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be nice if your doctor could have this conversation with you.
I know. It seemed like every single doctor I've talked to, besides one, a UCLA doctor, but like every other doctor in Nevada I've talked to, it seems like it's like, hey, I can only talk for 5 minutes. Yep. Okay, cool. You're done talking to me. All right, this is what you need to do. I'm gone. Like 5 minutes only. I talked to the nurse longer I talked to the doctor. Yeah. So it was just kind of frustrating that it just shows that nobody's going to care about your medical situation more than yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Or close friends. Like his sister.
Or close friends. But that just shows that even trying to schedule a conversation has been near impossible for you. Like, you had that one conversation when you found out, but have you even been able to sit down with anybody since then?
No, I've been trying to plan this chemo route and haven't been able to contact.
But also, based on how you were describing you seeking care early on when the symptoms first started, it sounds like you don't have a primary care doctor they have a long-standing relationship with, right?
Right, yeah. Yeah.
So that's the most important thing you can do for your health in terms of good outcomes, because A, they know you and they can think about this personal approach to healthcare and help you make these decisions and be that voice, how I would be if you were my patient. But then also, because they've seen you for so long, not only do they know you well, they have a vested interest.
Yeah.
They become family.
They care.
I have patients that I've delivered as a doctor, like baby, and then now they're like my 5-year-old patient.
Yeah.
So of course I'm going to have a much stronger connection to this patient than if I ran into them in the ER for 10 minutes. So like, that's why you really need a primary care doctor for those conversations. Obviously it's great to lean on friends who are experts, et cetera, but that's like how people who may not have that access can have that same conversation.
Yeah, 100%. I'm lucky that I do have Sam's sister to like give me advice, but yeah, besides that, all I've been looking at is like Google and like we're having them look up like Google searches so I don't freak out. And now it's like pretty much I have probably like a week from now to.
And both are reasonable choices, which makes it harder.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
When you have two reasonable choices, it's like, which path do you choose?
Right.
Also, when you look at active surveillance, if they are going to be recommending that you get repeat CAT scans, you also got to think about radiation that you're getting from repeat CAT scans.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's very true.
So there's so many variables to take into consideration. it really should be your gut decision that you go with. And there's two things you have to do when you make that decision. One is you have to make it based on your gut and fully trust your gut and go headstrong that you made that decision.
Yeah.
And two, make peace with the fact that it could be the wrong decision.
Yep.
That you can only decide based on what you know now, and with what you know now, there is no wrong decision.
That's true. Okay.
Like
Good to
whatever you decide right now, not wrong.
And see, that already helps me feel like more at peace, like even thinking that. Because again, like you could say, I decide to do chemo and then something side effect happens, but it's like, I don't know that now.
Can't know.
Yeah.
There's never foolproof answers in medicine. In fact, the enemy of making a good decision in healthcare, you know what that is? What would you say the enemy of making a good decision is? What's the opposite of a good decision? You're probably going to think bad decision.
Yeah, bad decision.
No, it's trying to make a perfect decision.
Right. Oh,
There's no
man,
perfect.
There's no perfect.
And when you strive for perfect, it becomes bad.
Right. And you know what was interesting is like talking to like Sam and my parents about this. And I was on the active surveillance route the entire time. They were on my side as well. Like, yeah, no, active surveillance seems right. It was only till after the conversation with Allison, the oncologist, that it kind of flipped my view on it. And then everybody was also able to see that side. And nobody's wrong. It's just, like you said, no
Opinions,
perfect.
That's the important thing. Hear people out, but let your gut decide it.
Yeah.
Because it's your choice. You have to live with it. And if you choose someone else's, it'll be so easy to blame them.
Right.
But right now in this scenario where you're deciding what you want and you know that no answer is wrong, there's no one to punish. It just happened. Just like you're not punishing anyone for the fact that you developed testicular cancer.
Yeah.
The same way that you'll handle those side effects if they do occur.
If they do occur. Yeah. And right now, if anybody's wondering, like, I think I am on the chemo route. I think I will do that for sure. Just because if it is 21 days, I'm still not aware of the cycle of BEP. But if it's 3 months, I might not do it. That's where I'm at right now. But the 21 days, we are like very far ahead with filming and stuff. And I could afford doing that right now. And kind of like, if I did lose hair or had bad side effects, I could, hide away for a second. We'd still be fine with our business and stuff. So I think that is the right decision, because for me personally, that 35% is scary. That third of a chance in my head is what was keeping me up at night, like for the past week. And so if I can get that down to 5%, that's great.
You were
That's all that
saying
matters.
even this last week and a half was more anxiety than you've had even learning that you had cancer in general.
Yes. Yeah. Because I have to decide myself.
So that just means this scanxiety for the coming 2 years would be probably the worst of this entire process.
Exactly. Yeah. I'd have to wait 2 years of just being like, it's going to come back every time, like every single month, getting the tumor markers checked. Is it going to come back? So yeah, to me, it's just not worth that mental.
Yeah. How do you feel about his thought process? Not the decision, but the thought process.
I think it was very fair. It was really interesting to see, because when he first brought it, hey, I'm cancer free. Yes, that's awesome. I could see there was something weighing on him. And
you didn't buy it.
Well, yeah, I was like, I'm for sure just whatever you want to do. And as I was hearing his conversations and phone calls with everybody, everyone said the same thing. It's I can't make this decision for you. This is obviously whatever you want to do. And at least from what the lack of knowledge I have, the word chemotherapy just seems horrible. Oh, you're putting chemicals in your body and you're gonna be killing all your cells. That just sounds bad. All these packets of information of side effects, it just sounds bad. So I was definitely could see where he was coming from of doing active surveillance. And even from the day he found out that his tumor markers were starting to fall down, he realized, okay, the doctor is going to tell me I could do active surveillance or chemo, so I want to just do active surveillance. So I knew from day one he wanted to do that. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll be on your side there. And literally just a week ago, I was updating my sister on the whole situation, and that's when I was like, oh, wait, whoa, this is a lot more to think about. And so I was like, hey, can you make sure to call Colby tomorrow and really explain this to him? Because the way you're explaining it to me is really intense. And so, the next day I saw him having hour-long conversations with my sister about it. And since then been changed, but I could definitely see after hearing more about it, like that I think he now has all the facts to actually like make a decision. I think previously we were acting a little more on impulse and like what he wanted to do, and especially with this job, I thought deep down, like if the main reason for not wanting to do chemo was the aesthetic of, you know, losing hair and or not feeling like you want to be on camera for a few months, that's a couple months of your life versus the happiness and healthiness of your entire life. Like, yes, like a few, you know, bad months or sluggish times or awkward pictures for a few months is going to be worth the rest of your life. And so I think at least in this decision, now we've gotten past the superficial stuff. I think now he can definitely make a decision more deep down on what's beneficial to him.
I think that's powerful. I also think if I had a patient in your shoes, because I don't want to influence your decision in any way, I would tell them two things. One, you know how you said you have to decide in a week? I would get rid of that deadline. That's the first thing I would recommend.
Okay.
Because that's a deadline someone else set for you, and it's your health. You don't have to decide anything.
True.
Like if you want to wait another week because you need time with it, wait another week. This isn't life or death that you have to decide in 7 days. The tumor is not like, oh, it's day 8. Ha! Like that's not how it works. Yeah. So do not create artificial timelines that are not based on any kind of science. That's what I would tell them. And second, getting the initial second opinion was smart. How you found a person to speed up the process of getting the ultrasound and getting the tumor removed quicker by doing the surgery was wise. I think if there was ever a time to get a second opinion and have almost two doctors argue with each other is now. Meaning contact the leading expert in this situation and have them play devil's advocate. Say, I want to go the chemotherapy route. Be devil's advocate for me. That's what I want you to do for me in this visit. And see if they can present some kind of evidence that you didn't know.
Okay. That's very
because this is the important decision that you have to make. The surgery was very obvious that you needed to do it. Here, as we were saying, both choices are reasonable. You're not making a wrong decision with whatever choice, but make sure you have the best information.
Right.
And the best information doesn't come from someone who says, oh yeah, I gave that medicine once. Talk to the people that have given the medicine 10,000 times.
Yeah.
And talk to the people who've not given the medicine 10,000 times and see what their experiences have been like. And that's where, because evidence can't give us a clear answer, that's where anecdote might give you some reassurance one way or another.
Yeah, 100%. And luckily with this, like my team finding like UCLA doctors and stuff too, I can do just that. And
exactly.
I have the
and those are the things you don't need to go in for a visit. You could schedule a virtual.
Yes. Yeah.
So like there's flexibility in that. So those are two things that I think are very reasonable. Yeah. Throwing out artificial deadlines and then seeking the knowledge. Don't tell doctors, tell me what to do. Just what happens in these scenarios?
100%. Yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that because, yeah, again, fortunate enough to have multiple people that I can talk to that are professional in different states too, completely don't even know each other type thing. Like they can argue it out and help me decide.
For sure. You know, right now what we're looking forward to in the medical sphere is learning which individuals are actually the ones that would benefit from the chemotherapy most.
Interesting.
Like as we continue studying individual DNA, we start seeing that there's some individuals that have a better response than others. Some have side effects more than others. And I think over the next 10, 20, 30 years, that's a major breakthrough that we're going to see within cancer treatment. So that's pretty exciting.
100%. And do you mind if I touch on one thing really quick?
Of course,
okay. Yeah, we can cut this out if there's not time. But a lot of questions have arisen from like young men of like, how's life now type thing, like what's working type thing. Everything is normal, and I didn't know that at first too. Like losing a testicle, I was like, what's gonna happen?
Did you sperm bank, by the way?
I did not before the surgery. They told me I need to do that if I decided to do the chemo route, but surgery they said your one working testicle is going to basically work overdrive, and you should have the same amount of testosterone, same libido, like everything looks normal down there. I got offered if I wanted to do a prosthetic, like a little fake ball to put down there.
Did you do the fake ball?
I did not.
Okay.
No, I decided
what was the choice? I'm curious about that decision.
Well, that was an interesting choice too, and like kind of like something I battled with, because I was like, well, I don't think it'll look too different. Like I just didn't know. Sure. But my biggest fear was that the body tends to reject foreign objects. And so I didn't want to have the anxiety of like, you know, being 30, 40, whatever, and like be like, wait, this year is, you know, like is this ball gonna fucking get rejected out of me? Like what the hell, you know?
Sorry, I'm laughing.
It's all good. Like funny situation, but like that's to me, I was just like, I should just go natural. And then I just kept telling myself, I was like, if I'm really embarrassed about it, if I really, really care, then hey, in a year I can just get a surgery and get one placed in. That was my thought process.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, like all the guys out there that are dealing with this, it does not look any different down there. Everything works perfectly. I've been able to work out. I just got my testosterone tested 2 days ago, and it's like normal ranges. So everything's great. And I think that's a big misconception, is like guys think their life is over as soon as like they get this diagnosis, or like they just don't know what's going to happen. And it's really nothing changes. Like your other one takes over. So.
What was your first question when he said that he was going to get it taken out? What did you think that could go wrong?
Well, yeah, I thought one, like infertility.
Yep.
And then, yeah, like what is this future look for him? Like, is that going to actually affect anything? Specifically, testosterone and infertility. But pretty much all those questions were answered almost immediately. And what was really interesting was, I think the doctor, correct me if I'm wrong, but the doctor was like, yeah, if you sperm bank before the surgery, it's like not really like anything different, because the cancer has pretty much already taken over that ball. Your other ball has already risen to the occasion and is working overdrive already. So that's how you know you're chilling. Like you're gonna be fine afterwards.
He made me feel like a lot better, just being like, hey man, your ball has not been working for the past 2 months, man. Like,
it was gonna be gone. It was already gone, man.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, in that case, like everything's been working pretty good down there. So yeah, it just like relieved that anxiety.
That's a great way to put
takes
it.
over.
Okay, so I'm glad you had one good interaction in the medical space.
Exactly. Just fun.
It was interesting how I think for at least a week or so you were on the I want to do the prosthetic side.
Yeah, I did think about that for a while, because it was just superficial reasons again. I was just like, I just don't know if, you know, I don't know what it will look like, and I don't want to be embarrassed if I'm doing, like, if I'm hooking up with somebody and
somebody says something. Did they show you pictures of like befores and afters, or?
They did not. No pictures, and they didn't even, what was interesting is when I got the surgery, they didn't even like bring in the prosthetic. They were just like, did you want one or not? And I had to just say yes or no, and I said no. But yeah, I thought they would, like, you know, like
they should.
They should.
They should. You know? They show you pictures. They should say this is what it would look like without. This is
exactly. And there was risks involved, not only like the infection, your body rejecting it, but like there was like horror stories I was reading of them being like, the doctor placed it too high, and now
didn't you look up that like 1 in 3 like over time get like either an infection or if their body rejects it or something? Or
it wasn't like infection. It was like 1 in 3 people are disappointed with the result.
Okay. Yeah.
Whatever that may be.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you felt I'll make that decision later on if I need to.
Exactly. And like, yeah, I was just like, since I didn't know if it was going to look super different, I was like, might as well just wait till all swelling goes down. And then again, if in a year I'm insecure about it, then I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
But speaking of too, like the scar, for example, like that is up in the waistband. So it's like really nothing looks different down there. That's basically what I'm trying to say. For peace of mind for guys dealing with this.
That's an important piece of mind, because guys are oftentimes the worst to bring in before there's a problem or early on in a problem. They really wait for a long time before they come in. I've seen that in my practice.
Because they think about that stuff.
Yes. But we want them to come in and we want to be proactive. And at the same time, I want to talk about your scanxiety that you brought up. And that's such a good term. Because sometimes people come in with the idea that we can order every test and prevent every problem. And just as I said earlier, the enemy of good is perfect in medicine. We can't prevent every problem. I can't give definitive answers. Like for myself, I can't tell you if I'm going to have a heart attack in 5 minutes or did I just have a heart attack. I can tell you clinically, it doesn't look like I'm having a heart attack. I have no symptoms of a heart, but I can't say I definitely did not have one. Because in order to say definitely, I need to go in and prove it. And we're not going to do that because that carries risk.
Right.
So that's part of that scanxiety, is not going to a doctor that's going to overpromise you things and say, we can check everything. If you pay us extra money, we'll guarantee you don't have cancer. We'll do these genetic tests. It doesn't exist yet. There's some things we can actually be proactive on, colonoscopies, cervical cancers for women and getting pap smears done. Those things we can be proactive on. That's not the complete list, but those are some of the proven things. Other things have fallen out of favor because in order for this, the screening, the test to find out if the problem exists in someone who's not showing symptoms, that feels fine. In order for that test to be beneficial, it needs to prolong their life, decrease the risk of them dying from the cancer, improve their quality of life, and most importantly, not cause this anxiety.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because so many people are like, just scan my whole body to see if I have cancer. I'm like, well, I don't want to do that because people have lumps, bumps, masses in their bodies that mean nothing. But if I just start scanning and finding, oh, there's a 1 millimeter nodule. Now I'm scanning it and giving you scanxiety for the rest of your life.
Right.
And radiating you with radiation causing a cancer for no benefit. Right. Which is really, why we don't scan everybody.
Yeah, that's really interesting because going through this whole thing, I think from an outside perspective, outside of once he's all healed up, I think the main thing that I took away and a lot of our friends did was like, well, then we should like be way more proactive about figuring things out or like doing checkups. And, you know, to what you just said, maybe that's not a perfect situation, but
the perfect situation is go and let the doctor guide you as to what tests you need and you'd benefit from versus what tests you don't. Because there are some tests that you do not need. Like if a healthy person comes in and says, hey, check me for testicular cancer, while we can do like a palpation exam to see if there's any lumps, bumps, or masses, I'm not going to be ordering ultrasounds on healthy patients.
For sure.
Right. Yeah.
So best case scenario, you know, when there's something specifically wrong, go on that specific, you know, test. However, just make sure to get a regular test often. Or not, regular checkup?
A regular checkup, yeah. Because, for example, for me as a primary care doctor, we have institutional guidelines of things we should be checking each age group, each demographic. And we should say, in this person, they have high rates of condition X. And if we scan for this condition X, we can actually prolong their life. So we do that test.
Okay.
But then there's some things like if you just come in, like if you came in and you're like, hey, I want to make sure I'm cancer free, scan me, give me a CAT scan. I would never order it for you.
Okay.
Because that's actually going to cause you harm.
Right.
With scanxiety, with potentially finding something that's not going to be worthwhile. And now we're scanning you over and over again, radiating your body further, maybe doing a biopsy, getting a problem from the biopsy as a side effect.
Yeah.
And all of that because you had no symptoms. There was no benefit to doing it.
So let's say someone at home right now is listening like, wait, well, I do kind of feel something weird, or I have been feeling something weird.
If you feel something weird, that is no longer screening.
Okay.
Because screening means you're healthy with no symptoms. So if you have a symptom, me ordering a test is now a diagnosis, a diagnostic test. So basically, if you come to me and you're like, Dr. Mike, I have a terrible pain in my right lower quadrant of my abdomen. It's terrible. I'm vomiting. Now I'm ordering a scan because I want to diagnose you with appendicitis.
Okay.
But I'm not ordering that test if you're like, hey, doc, can you just check if I have appendicitis? I want to make sure.
Yeah.
Well, why? I don't know. My mom had it. Maybe I have it. I'm not scanning you.
Okay. So are there tests or anything that someone should be doing? Maybe not all the time, but like every couple of years? Or?
Well, like the test I mentioned, like the colonoscopy starting at age 45, for women at age 21 starting getting their pap smears. There are tests that you have to do, not have to do, but you ought to do that have been proven to extend life and get the benefit. And then there's tests that you shouldn't do. But that's where you have to trust your doctor and have a good relationship with your doctor to understand why. And if your doctor is ever telling you, hey, you should get a pap smear, you should get a colonoscopy, you should have no fear, like you advocated for yourself, to ask why. Why do I need this or why do I not need it? And if your doctor can't verbalize to you why or why not, find another doctor.
That's interesting. But main thing is everyone needs a primary care doctor.
That's the main takeaway for everyone at home. And if you have a concern about something, like you had a concern down there, no matter what the concern is, get it checked out.
Right.
Because everyone says, when should I go see the doctor with a problem? If you're thinking about it, go. That's the trigger.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you have the thought, go. Because it's so easy to make excuses and prolong it. Our minds are excellent at that, at downplaying the issue. But just go. Because again, the worst case scenario is you'll get a clean bill of health. That's the worst case scenario.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Very true.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, don't tough it out too long. Like, don't think you can just overcome it.
It's not worth it.
It's not necessary because again, if you go and it's just, oh no, this is nothing, just a muscle sprain, you know, whatever. Good. You know, it's a muscle sprain. Now you know what a muscle sprain feels like.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
That's
This
awesome.
gets rid of the anxiety altogether.
Yeah, totally. Well, let's play some lightning round questions.
Let's do it.
Okay, Sam, with you first.
Oh, God.
What's the healthiest part of your body?
Oh, on me currently?
Yeah.
I don't know. My stomach. I don't know the fuck. I don't know.
What?
How about you?
Definitely not my testicles.
What do you mean? Your other testicle's doing a stellar
my
job.
right testicle. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
right.
saying.
There you go.
That's my right. My right's good.
There you go. Okay, Sam, what's one part of your body that you wish you could replace?
Oh God. Dude, these are really hard questions, man. My ankles, 'cause they always hurt when I run.
Okay, that's a problem.
Oh man, shoot! I would replace probably my lower back. Sometimes hurts when I stand up too fast.
Lumbar spine, fair.
Oh, that's what I should have said. I broke my back. Why didn't I just say like
You get a new back.
We're on the spot, man.
this is too much anxiety?
What's one thing that raised your blood pressure this week?
This situation.
Okay.
Probably same.
Same,
Yeah,
okay, fair.
That's it.
Fair answer. Okay, so now 1 to 10, I'm just going to give you a list of things, and then you just say 1 to 10 for each of them. You could say it at the same time or take turns. From 1 to 10, how scared are you of ghosts?
5.
7,
Movies. Scary
0.
movies.
2,
Books.
10.
2.
Mummies.
Mummies?
0.
0.
Wow. Aliens or UFOs?
6.
8. They're real.
Possession or exorcism?
9.
10. It's gonna happen one day.
Monsters like Bigfoot, Yeti, Godzilla.
1.
0.
Loneliness.
10.
10.
War/invasion.
10.
10.
That's gonna
Zombies.
happen. 1.
7.
Whoa.
Dude, there could be zombies, dude.
Jesus.
Think of all the pandemics out here, man. Like, they're gonna turn.
All right.
into
You guys
zombies one
watch
day.
Last of Us?
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm
I'm
talking
saying.
about.
Oh God, no, I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
He
watch
doesn't need this anxiety.
yeah.
Right?
Not too much going on.
In a year and a half, watch The Last of Us.
Okay, failure.
0.
0.
Wow.
Doesn't matter.
Meteor
It's not gonna
apocalypse.
fail.
You said apocalypse?
3.
Meteor.
Meteor.
Isn't that pretty
Like a
likely?
2.
Okay. Being canceled.
8.5.
8.5.
Financial collapse.
4.
Intimacy.
Scared of intimacy?
Yeah.
3.
5.
The unknown.
Ooh, 10.
10.
Dark deep water.
Oh God,
Ooh,
10.
10.
Freaks me out.
That's scary.
Yeah. Same. Getting punched in the face.
1. Someone come
Really?
punch me.
I got 6 because that can really be damaging.
Oh, it could. Depend if they're good at hit. But if you just get smacked once, like, you're going to recover. Right?
Bees.
Oh, 0. I got that.
Yeah, like 2.
Flick them off.
Snakes.
5.
2.
Spiders.
7.
0.
Sharks?
7? You're gonna like scream in your room when you have a.
They're really scary.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
You're
man.
that scared of spiders?
They're like tarantulas and like Australian spiders.
Okay,
Hell
I
no.
have a cool fun fact. There's almost no deadly spiders.
Really?
Oh, I thought there was like a lot.
None.
It's just like the
Like
thought of
especially
them-
North America, there's never been a death.
Never been a
What?
death in North America from a spider.
I didn't know
I thought
that.
brown recluses were chopping people left and right.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Interesting.
Yep.
In America, though. Is what
Ah.
No. But even worldwide, it's almost unheard of.
wow. Okay.
As long as like you get some level of medical care, and not like anti venom like a snake thing, but spiders don't kill
Scary.
people.
There's 0 for spiders.
Sharks.
0.
4.
0?
I don't chill with sharks that often. I just feel like I can avoid them.
AI.
10.
Okay.
For sure.
Horror video games.
Oh,
2.
9.
9?
I scream every
Silent
time we do
Hill?
a react video. Like,
That's true.
The Dark.
2.
2.
Okay.
Not used to that.
Fair. Now, for the last portion here, you could answer as a team. I have a list of YouTubers here, and I'm curious how you would choose to scare them.
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mark Rober.
Oh, God.
Oh my gosh, he would be hard to scare because I feel like he's like you, evidence based. I would. Mark Rober, we would dangle him off the side of a roller coaster.
A roller coaster? Yeah, okay, we'll do that to Mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Beast.
Oh,
Mr. Beast.
send him in the Conjuring house alone.
Conjuring House alone, and he just has to watch like 1,000 hours worth of something like he used to do in the.
There we go.
Golden
That'd be
days.
perfect.
Oh, that would be painful. Dude, perfect.
Scaring dude, perfect.
Haunted
man.
golf course? I don't
Oh
know.
my
Like
god,
what?
yeah.
That's so hard.
Send them in the world's largest maze.
Ooh,
Okay. All right.
that would be overwhelming.
That's good.
Yeah, okay.
Casey Neistat.
Oh my god.
Scaring that guy would be very.
Putting him in a bike lane and blocking it off.
Yeah.
Telling him he can't run again.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Does it have to be paranormal?
No.
Oh, what? I was
What were you thinking?
Yeah,
That's why I was saying the roller
I was like,
coaster
how do I
thing.
think of dude perfect? Like, dang.
Air rack.
Ooh.
We just scream at him constantly for like 8 hours straight.
Is
Get
that
scared of.
so? Dude, that would scare anybody. I feel like if you just screamed at someone for that long.
The Try Guys.
Ooh, make each one of them go alone in a different haunted house.
Yeah, divide them up.
And they have a walkie-talkie.
Only pitch darkness.
Yeah.
Pitch black, night vision cameras.
Logan Paul.
Ooh, bring them to a forest.
Oh,
Just kidding. Just kidding. You can't. Too soon.
wow.
I didn't expect that.
I didn't really either.
Especially because the next one is Ryan's toy review.
Oh my god.
dangle him over a roller coaster.
Oh my god. He's probably scared of everything at this point.
Ryan Trahan.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, probably just take him to a haunted place because he just has vocally told us before in person he just does not mess with ghosts.
He doesn't want that at all.
He's too scared.
And I guess for me, you'd take me into a haunted medical institution.
Oh, abandoned hospital. There
In
we go.
hospital. Haunted.
I would be so scared. No, I would probably, like, if we do it, I have to wear a heart rate monitor the whole time.
Yeah.
So
fun.
you'll see that I'm not faking anything. So it'll be like
That'd be
real
awesome.
time, you'll see my pulse skyrocket.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're down, we
Wait.
know a million hospitals.
Dude,
so
that's
it's
a
up to
really
you.
interesting idea. We
Yeah.
should do that too. Like have heart rate monitors.
Just get
Yeah.
hooked up. Yeah.
You don't even need something crazy, just like the ones that go across your chest, like the polar heart rate monitors. Boom.
That's actually such a good idea.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we're like internally freaking out sometimes. And,
And
no
it's
one
hard to
knows.
show, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's something that we do when we think a patient is malingering. It's if we feel like they're faking pain. There are some signs that we use that the body actually shows that someone is truly in pain, and pulse is one of them.
Okay.
So if you want to prove to people that this is real and you're really scared, your pulse ain't gonna lie.
Oh,
Interesting.
New
Okay.
idea.
Yeah, we should try that.
Right. That sounds
Can I
good.
be there for the
Let's
breakthrough
make it
episode?
go.
You have to. You
I love
have
it.
to.
New
Okay.
tactic. Cool.
I usually ask a final question, but this time I'm only going to ask it to you, Sam, because I feel like I know your answer. Have you ever almost died?
Have I almost? Oh, yes. We almost died scuba diving 100 feet below when we ran out of oxygen. So we tried to get advanced scuba dive certified in 5 days, which is pretty much as fast as you humanly can, like legally. And we multiple people in our group ran out of oxygen 100 feet down, and we did not do any of the safety passes of going up as you're supposed to go.
Oh
so
my God.
even some people in our group got the bends.
No way.
So it was rough.
Wow, that's so scary.
Yeah, that definitely one of those that sent us into some anxiety-ridden things.
Never been scuba diving again after that.
Yeah,
so.
that was the last time. Actually.
No wonder you said dark deep water was the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it all
really
makes sense.
freaky.
Real trauma there.
Well, I'm happy neither of you have passed and that you're here to share this story. I think you're going to do a lot of good for the world. I appreciate your honesty, your transparency, because not an easy topic to talk about. So thank you
Thanks for
coming
having
on
us.
and sharing your experience, and obviously
course.
for being a caregiver and supporter for your friend.
Support.
Get through it, man.
We're going to get through it. Yeah.
Dr. Mike, allow me to issue you congratulations. I think you just conducted the best interview of your young podcast life.
It's exciting. That's a very hard situation to deal with from Colby's side of things, and hard from Sam's side of things for very different reasons. And having both of them share their opinions openly, honestly, and still factually keep it all together was tough, but a very valuable experience, I hope, for everyone involved.
Yeah, you got to really pull apart the meat off of the bone of this subject. And it was really fascinating to hear you say, like, I think what X doctor said here was incorrect. And if you're in the situation in the future, audience, you should expect your doctor to behave this way. And so it was kind of controversial, but in a really educational way. And I found it very satisfying. Dan, I'm assuming you probably felt the same way. It was, I didn't have trouble. I didn't get bored. I didn't look away.
Yeah.
I found it really
satisfying. I think even the ghost hunting initial conversation was interesting because it was a little bit of the controversy. You were putting them on the
spot. Yeah. That was cute.
And then we started talking about this very heavy diagnosis and how he's live dealing with this as we're talking about it in the given moment. And he's facing this huge decision. And it frankly made me feel very, I don't want to say happy is the word, grateful that he trusts me enough to ask me a question of that weight and willing to hear my opinion out on it.
It was cool for the audience at home. In preparing for this interview, I had contacted their team and said, hey, if there's any update about Colby's situation, we'd love to hear it so Mike can be prepared. And yeah, they literally sent over his test results and everything.
Yeah.
So Mike actually got to get his hands dirty and take a look at the actual reports there. So,
and I think it highlights how skeptical I am of our medical system, that the first thing I did was, based on his reports, go through the algorithm and see if he's receiving the right options.
Oh, of the up to date or something?
Yeah. I went on up to date, looked through, okay, he has this thing on his pathology report. He has this on his blood tests. He has this on his CAT scans. What should be his options? And they gave him the right options. But so many times my patients fall out of that algorithm and start getting weird advice. And that's when I ask them to go back to their doctor, show him this stepwise algorithm and ask, why are we deviating from this? And if they don't have a good answer, run.
I was particularly excited to have Sam and Colby on this episode because they are the masters of scare on YouTube. And I know how big a scaredy cat Dr. Mike actually can be. So you asked them this very fun question of how scared are they of a variety of things, and I actually want to flip it around and ask you, because their answers varied widely, and I think your answers are going to vary wildly as well. So yes, again, for a scale from 1 to 10, 1, you are so confident and grounded, you're not scared whatsoever, and a 10, you're absolutely mortified.
1 or 0?
If you really don't think it registers,
0 to 10.
Okay, we'll do a 0 out of 10. So how scared are you? We'll do this in a slightly different order to throw you off. How scared are you of the dark?
Give me what a 10 is.
A 10 is probably audibly screaming in terror.
Okay.
A full soiling of the pain. A full soil. Perfect.
5.
A 5 of the dark. Okay. Do you have a nightlight growing up or anything like that?
I would always ask for the door to be cracked or a nightlight or something. Yeah.
And was that tethered to a specific fear of, oh, there's a monster under the bed, or I don't know, I just can't see, so I'm nervous?
The unknown.
The unknown. Yeah. That's another one on the list. Fear of the unknown. 0 out of 10.
6.
6. How about, we didn't have this on the earlier list. Heights.
Oh, 7.
7, because you were afraid of living in tall buildings for a little while.
And flying F-16s and everything that we've done on the channel.
Yeah, and then in that F-16, you were flat, and then you went straight up into
Like a missile into the sky.
outer space. Still one of the strangest things I'd ever seen in my life. Dan and I sitting there and watch Mike in a plane fly straight up into the sky and literally disappear into the blue. That was bizarre.
And then fly the plane. Like all these people are like, oh, they flew to space. First of all, they technically flew to space, but it's not real space. And then also they're not the ones flying the thing. I flew the F-16.
Yep.
How many people can say they flew an F-16 that's not in the military?
A handful of people who did the Thunderbirds, but it's a small group. Ain't me. I can't say yes to that. Very recently, I think you have developed quite a strong fear of artificial intelligence, AI.
Oh, yeah. I'm deathly afraid of it. I'm not screaming, so it's like a 7.75.
Mike has been spiraling testing ChatGPT recently,
It's
and
so scary.
he is absolutely mortified.
They've connected it to the internet. That's it. It's done. It's going to learn on its own now. It doesn't even need us.
But do you think it's going to turn into a Will
Yes.
Smith iRobot
Yes.
situation
Worse.
where they're going to come and attack? Worse. Or do you think it'll be a her situation where the her situation, remember how that ends, is the AI. Oh, her's great. Oh, you got, I won't spoil it for you. Yeah. Okay, AI, horror video games. You've played some of these recently.
Yeah, 5.5.
5.5. Sharks.
10. 10? Dude, if you're in the water and you see a shark, 10.
Spiders.
0.
Because now we know.
Yeah.
We just researched this.
1. I'm still a little skeevy.
Oh, they can still bite you.
No, but it's skeevy.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Snakes.
7.
How about creepy crawlies in general?
7.
Okay. Bees. Stingers. Creatures that can sting.
4.
4. I feel, haven't you said you don't like scorpions?
I hate scorpions.
Scorpions.
15 scorpion.
Wow.
They'll keep me up at night.
Did you have a negative experience?
If you tell me there's a scorpion on this floor, I'm leaving tomorrow.
Did you get stung by one or something? Did you see one as a kid?
Just look how frightening they are. They kill you.
They are the most like intimidating looking creature.
And they kill you. They're not spiders.
And not for nothing, the word scorpion, that's a top 10 word.
Yeah.
That word rocks.
Yeah. And I'm a Scorpio.
Financial collapse. And as someone who just bought a house, you're closer to this than ever.
5.
There's like personal financial collapse and then sort of like macroeconomic financial
because
collapse.
I feel like I could always figure it out.
Okay.
4 or 5.
Sure. That's the security you always have is you can always go be a doctor somewhere.
Yeah, but I just have skills, like hand skills. Meaning I could fight. I can sew a wound. Dan's laughing at me. OnlyFans. Yeah, exactly. Well, if there's financial collapse, there's no OnlyFans. No one can give you money.
Asteroid or meteor apocalypse. Earth getting obliterated by a rock from space.
7.
7?
Yeah.
Okay. Like that was the Don't Look Up?
Yeah.
The DiCaprio movie? Being canceled.
I've gotten better with this. 6.5.
Okay. Zombies.
10.
A 10. Zombies would get you?
No, actually, no. The zombie apocalypse, 10. Zombie itself, 2.
Because you're afraid. So that's always the question. You recently played The Last of Us. Yeah. And I always ask people who played it, what scares you more, the infected or the humans? Because they're both scary for very different reasons.
The whole apocalypse is scary. The zombie itself, one time.
I think the human is scarier.
Yeah. Human's way worse.
You can kind of predict the behavior of a zombie. Yeah. The behavior of a human can be
the devil,
sadistic.
you know, is better than the devil.
Absolutely. Possession or exorcism.
I don't even know what that means. 0.
But like a demon taking you over.
Good luck.
Wow.
I'm already a demon.
How about like general religious phenomena?
0.
Like Indiana Jones kind of stuff.
What?
Like the Ark of the Covenant opening and
0.
that there
don't
are...
believe in it. Have no fear around it.
Cool. Totally legit. Aliens or UFOs?
2.
2? So is that because you reject their existence?
No, just I have no reason to believe that they'll murder me.
That's a very logical point of view. I think that's a great way to be. Yeah, we can believe that there are aliens. We can also believe that there are ghosts. Why do we assume they're hostile?
Exactly.
So then how about ghosts?
3.
3. Okay. Mummies?
0.
I was afraid of mummies.
Yeah.
Come on, right? That's got to be low. How about scary books?
0.
Have you ever read any scary books?
I don't read.
That's right. You listen to stuff. Yo.
And I've never listened to a scary book.
Yo, read The Shining and come back to me and tell me. Yeah. Actually sit there and read it. in the dark. Have you read The Shining, Dan?
How do you read in the dark?
Well, like in a room with one light. Good point. You got me. And then finally, scary movies.
6.
Yeah, you do get a little spooked out by the scary movie.
That's why I don't watch them.
Yeah, you avoid him. Those are the things that Dr. Mike is afraid of. You know what Dr. Mike is not afraid of?
What?
Medical questions.
Yeah.
From the internet.
I'm ready.
He's a pro. This is a question that comes from Happy Daisy. If you would like to have a medical question read on the podcast, delivered to Mike, and receive an answer, you can have that happen by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and in the body of your review, write a medical question, and it may come up and be read to Mike. So this first question from Happy Daisy, who gave us 5 stars, is, when someone gets a body part amputated, where does that amputated body part go? What does the hospital do with a severed limb?
I think we looked this up in the past for responding to comments video. And I believe they get disposed of in the biohazard if it's a small body part. And then I believe that there are incineration. When something's burned. Incinerated?
An incinerator.
But the process of being incinerated is incineration?
Your hand was incinerated?
But do the TION version of that.
Incineration.
Sounds weird.
Oh no, what's happening?
Well, anyway, it's incinerated.
And so you can't, if you go to get your wisdom teeth taken out, the dental surgeon may allow you to bring the teeth home with you. Can you bring an amputated foot home with you? I have to imagine it's no.
I think a foot, no, but I think maybe certain things.
Like something with flesh?
Maybe something small because they can preserve it. I don't know. I don't know the answer. I'm not going to act like I know.
Okay, that's good. Well, please leave us a 5-star review. And also, if you've made it this far, you might be interested in joining us on our Patreon, $10 a month. 100% of the money is donated to a charity of your Patreon resident choosing. Every month, we vote on where to give the money during a Dr. Mike live stream. So we'd love to have you join us there and continue making our charitable impact. We've given away almost $200,000 now through that Patreon. And maybe somebody out there could be interested in learning how to turn their level of professionalism or expertise into a media career.
Join Professionals Media Academy on professionalsmediaacademy.com, where I teach you how to become the go-to medical or media expert. You could be of any profession. You could be a doctor, a lawyer, pharmacist, business person, real estate agent, lawyer. You could follow and learn what has made our channel so successful. Our media journey has been so successful, and where we've messed up so you can avoid those mistakes for yourself.
Yes, this is a course designed by Mike that he wished had been given to him when he started his media career. You can learn how to build a YouTube channel, how to get booked on nationwide television talk shows, how to find an agent, how to do brand deals, how to hire, how to make content. There's so much there, so please go to professionalsmediaacademy.com. If you're an expert who wants to turn your career into a media industry, media business of some kind.
Empire.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed learning all about testicular cancer. And huge thank you to Sam and Colby for sharing their unique medical journeys. As always, stay happy and healthy. And thanks for joining on the Checkup Podcast.